Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Have you ever thought that, maybe the stuff you hate about yourself, like the things you try to hide, could actually, I don't know, make you a better, more complete person?
Mhm.
What if turning towards those hidden parts, the ones we usually try to run from, could unlock, huge potential?
That's a really intriguing idea, right? It's like this hidden power within us waiting to be discovered. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going deep into the Book of Shadow Work by Keila Shaheen. It's all about self-help and psychology and personal development.
Yeah, all that good stuff. So this book is based on this concept of the shadow self, which is something Carl Jung came up with way back when. Basically, the shadow is like all the unconscious parts of your personality, right? The emotions and traits and even experiences that we, reject or try to hide, not just from other people, but even from ourselves sometimes.
It's like this hidden world within us that we often don't even realize is shaping so much of our behavior and our interactions. And what's cool about Shaheen's book is that it gives you this really practical, kind of step-by-step guide to understanding, accepting, and then ultimately integrating these hidden aspects of yourself.
Okay, so how does that even work? One thing I really liked about the Book of Shadow Work was just how easy it was to get. Sometimes, these psychology books can be so dense and full of jargon, but Shaheen keeps it really down to earth. She uses language that anyone can understand, and she gives you exercises and stuff that you can actually start using, like right now.
Totally. You don't have to be like a therapist or a psychology major to understand this stuff. And I think that's really important because it makes this whole concept of shadow work way more accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
And you're right, those exercises are really key because it's not just about understanding the shadow, it's about actually doing something about it?
Right. And speaking of that, another thing that I loved about this book was just how much it emphasized self-compassion. It's not about beating yourself up for having a shadow,
Yeah.
because guess what? We all do. It's more about being kind to yourself
Hmm.
and understanding that these shadow parts often developed for a reason, like to help us cope with something difficult or to protect ourselves in some way.
Exactly. Instead of judging these parts of ourselves, we can actually start to see them as like parts of us that are trying to help us, even if they're doing it in a kind of messed up way.
Totally. And here's where it gets really interesting. The book actually connects shadow work with positive changes in other areas of your life.
Hmm.
Like it talks about how exploring your shadow can help you heal from past trauma, improve your relationships, and even become more self-aware in general. It's not just about dealing with the bad stuff. It's about becoming a more well-rounded person overall.
It's like when you shine a light on those shadowy parts of yourself, they lose a lot of their power, and then you can start to integrate them into your whole personality, which makes you more authentic and more resilient.
Okay, so for example, Shaheen talks about how recognizing your own capacity for anger, which is like a really common shadow thing for a lot of people, can actually help you set healthier boundaries in relationships.
Oh, that's such a good point because, like, think about it. Sometimes we get really angry or judgmental when we see other people doing something that we secretly do ourselves? It's like we're
Mm.
projecting our own shadow onto them. And by becoming aware of those projections, we can start to have more empathy for ourselves and for others.
Okay, so all of this sounds amazing, right? But I do want to be honest and say there were a couple things about the book that didn't quite click for me. Like sometimes it felt a little repetitive. Once I grasped a certain concept, I was ready to move on. But the book would kind of circle back and explain it again in a slightly different way.
Yeah, I can see that. And it probably depends on your learning style, right? Some people might really benefit from that repetition, while others, like yourself, might find it a little bit unnecessary.
Right. And I also feel like some of the more theoretical stuff, especially the parts about the collective unconscious, were a little hard to connect with. I get it, it's part of Jungian theory and all, but it didn't feel as relevant to me personally as some of the other stuff in the book.
Yeah, I hear you. The collective unconscious can be a pretty abstract concept. It's this idea that there are these universal experiences and archetypes that we all share as humans,
Yeah.
which is pretty mind-blowing, but it's definitely a lot more philosophical than some of the other stuff in the book.
And one last thing. The book is written in a very workbook style format,
Mhm.
which, I can see the benefits of. It gets you to actively engage with the material and all, but I sometimes just wanted to sit back and read without having to stop and do exercises all the time.
Ah, yeah, the workbook format, it's definitely not for everyone. It can definitely feel a little disruptive to the flow sometimes. But hey, at least it keeps you on your toes, right?
True. Okay, so overall, taking everything into account, like the practicality, the self-compassion, the connections to personal growth, but also the repetition and the more theoretical stuff, And the workbook format, I'd give the Book of Shadow Work a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a really valuable resource for anyone who wants to explore their inner world and like become a more whole and integrated person.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's a really solid introduction to shadow work, and it's packed with practical tools that you can start using right away to, like you said, become more whole and integrated.
Awesome. So if you're intrigued by all this talk about shadow work and you want to learn more, we've included a link to buy the Book of Shadow Work on Amazon down in the description below. And if you'd like to stay tuned for more deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this deep dive into the Book of Shadow Work. We hope you found it helpful and maybe even like a little bit inspiring.
And we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's discussion, or if you have any questions about shadow work. And hey, if you think someone else might benefit from this deep dive, share it with them. Let's spread the shadow work love.
And one last thought to leave you with. After listening to all of this, maybe take a moment to think about the judgments you tend to make about other people. What are the things that really bug you? The things that you find totally unacceptable? Because guess what? Those judgments might be giving you a little glimpse into your own shadow. Just something to ponder.
That is a great point. Until next time, happy shadow work, everyone.